Please come in. You're right on time. The door only opens when the clock strikes midnight. Georgia and Hannah are preparing to broadcast from the belfry. Just like this old bell tower, they have many stories to tell. Some old and some new. Follow me up these stairs, but mind your step. Ah, they're waiting
I was
for you.
editing the Harry Houdini episode. I kind of had this realization like I think I'm far away from the microphone because just sound far away generally. I know this room isn't the best to record in. Like there's the wooden floor. There's a rug in here, but it's in front of my laptop. It's not, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have the freaking streamer room with like the foam pads on the wall and shit.
Jaren.
Darren. I mean, that is cool as hell. But I'm
You,
essentially just speaking into the void.
you can make that thing like I have that I'm not using that maybe I should, which is like I made like a trifold with I just used like a foam mattress topper thing, like a cheap one.
Yeah.
And cut it up to make like a kind of
Yeah,
acoustic
that would be a good idea. I
block.
know I have been talking to Amethyst and Dawn about building a computer because Dawn built her own computer a few years ago, and she said that she legitimately took like the better part of a year just like doing research on it and like
Mhm.
checking to see what would be good for it before she spent any money. Like she didn't
Yeah.
buy
I,
anything or do anything for a year, which is such a good move. Um, but I'm an impatient person, and so I'm just going to rely on their knowledge because Dawn didn't have anybody really to help her.
yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, she did
and
all the research and now she's a
yeah,
resource.
yeah, and she helped her. I think she helped Michael, her boyfriend, build a computer. She helped her ex build a computer, and then I think one of her friends. So she's had, experience. And then
Yeah.
Amethyst has had her own computer since like age 2. No, that's not true. I think age 16 she's had that. But I want a new computer that I put together myself. Apparently, the graphics card that's in this laptop and the CPU are both pretty good. And I could just
I
take them out of this.
I I mean, I wanted a new computer for a really long time. But when Shannon moved in and brought his computer, that kind of negated my need because I wanted a desktop and then he
Hmm.
came with this one and I'm pretty sure that Andrew probably built this one as well. And then built himself a better one and then just gave
I
this to
think,
Shannon.
isn't that exactly what happened? I think that's what Shannon had said.
I think so.
Yeah.
I know that I know that Andrew gave him this one when but I don't know if he built this one or not.
Who
I mean,
knows?
it's got like the clear side and it changes
Yeah.
colors and everything like the gamer computers do.
Yeah.
So,
Apparently you can buy like pre pre-made like hand-built computers from people that do that service. They'll just
I'm
like build
sure,
computers like
yeah.
that. Like you pick the specs and then
Yeah. And like that's Andrew.
uh,
Andrew's like an IT guy and
yeah.
like computers are his thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if
Yeah.
stop it. Stop it.
For those of you who don't know what the hell is going on, Georgia was just saying stop it into her and Shannon's new kitten, Squid. and then
You know,
held her up to the microphone to see if she would make a noise.
she just stood on the futon and went like she was gonna dive bomb into the trash can.
That's funny.
Jesus.
What a
This
little freak.
like this has to be what having a toddler is like. I cannot. I
Uh,
cannot. I cannot.
in a certain way, I mean, toddlers can speak English.
Barely.
Well, not barely. I've seen like some parents
Okay, not a
listen to their
toddler.
toddler or whatever, and they like fully understand them, toddler speak or whatever.
Not toddlers, but like crawling babies. Babies who
Yeah.
just learned how to crawl and who are now like, ah, and then putting everything in their mouth.
Yeah,
That's
you're
this.
right.
That's this good.
That's true.
Okay. I don't have any fun anecdotes this week.
That's okay. We're gonna be chatting for a while.
Go to
Um,
sleep.
oh my goodness. Look at how bad Milo freaking got. You can't really tell like from
Milo.
this video, but like there's those scratches, but these are like the deepest scratches he's ever given me.
Rude.
It's so rude. He was
Was
trying
he
to
just
attack
being
my hand
grumpy?
under the
Oh.
blanket last night.
Oh, that's why I keep saying hands aren't toys because um like her she just wants to like claw and chew on your hands and your fingers.
Hmm.
And I know if you don't break them of that when they're kittens, they will like keep biting and scratching your hands because they think that your hands are toys, and don't I don't want that
Yeah,
for
of
the
course not.
for my sake.
Milo doesn't frequently do that. I think because he's a male cat, sometimes he just gets like this really aggressive, playful energy.
Yeah.
And usually Seth would kind of take care of that by putting his arm through like uh, a pant leg of like a sweatpants. Do you remember me talking about this?
Yeah.
And he would like hold this little feather toy at the end, and then Milo would just go crazy attacking.
It's like
And
those
that would
people
that would
that wear
tide
the
him over.
suits with
Yes.
the dogs, like the training dogs to attack or
Yes,
whatever.
dude. That's literally it. And like as soon as he gets that energy out, he's like he's good. He's good. He's
Yeah.
solid. But
Oh,
he hasn't done that in a while, so
he's just he works hard and he plays hard
yeah.
and he sleeps hard. Look at him.
Yeah, he's a sleepy boy.
You're gonna see his little paw like, oh. So, well, anyway, if anyone hears any weird noises or hears me freak out for a second, it's because there's a 7-week-old kitten here, confined
Well,
to this room.
if it's funny, I'll keep it in, but if it's just like you
Yeah,
can't even make out what you're saying or whatever, I'll just mute that part
yeah,
or it's like silence, control L.
yes, yes.
Um,
Or she might have if she finds her ball that has a bell in it, that could be annoying. And if she does that, I'll mute myself.
okay.
Okay.
So Georgia.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Oh, you'll remember as soon as I start talking.
Okay.
In 1860, Lake Park was established by the city of Chicago on the lands just
Oh.
north of the city's primary burial ground. The city's cemetery, active since the 1840s, did not cease burial until 1866. And then in 1865, Lake Park was renamed to honor the recently assassinated President Abraham Lincoln. The cemetery grounds were divided into 4 separate cemeteries. A potter's field, or for those of you who don't know what that is, a burial place for unknown or unidentified people, a Catholic cemetery, a Jewish cemetery, and the general city cemetery for those who didn't fit into those 3 categories.
Huh.
As far as anyone knows, these were the only cemeteries in the Chicago area until 1859. Pamela Banos, a curious researcher slash independent journalist in Chicago, embarked on an exhaustive research project into the park's history using the new online availability of past issues of the Chicago Tribune. In
Then
2008,
okay.
he discovered that from 1843 to 1859, the Chicago City Cemetery was the site of all official burials and had been subsumed by Lincoln Park. In the end, it doesn't even matter. I just had to get it out.
I was
She's
gonna say, was this in
since
like the 90s when the internet was brand new? Because just
it was the mid-aughts.
yeah,
Yeah.
just the way you worded it. But I guess that makes sense because I mean I remember websites in the when I was in high school and that they weren't they
Yeah.
looked like MySpace, all of them,
Yeah.
with their glittery HTML.
For the most part, it took her years and years to find as many primary sources like documents about who owned land deeds and like city council notes and things like
Yeah.
that, like receipts to pay excavators um
Yeah. And
to
I guess
dig up burials for people.
at that time, I mean that stuff would have only just been getting digitized, so she probably had to do a lot of that research, like
Yeah.
in courthouses and archives
Um,
and
well, thankfully, um, as I mentioned, there was a new online availability of past issues
Mhm.
of, so she started with the Chicago Tribune. Um, the Chicago Tribune just started like uploading their previous issues all the way back since the damn thing existed.
That's
And
cool.
obviously, over the past however many years, other institutions have done that too. Like, usually in like city records and uh, libraries and shit like that, they can be stored. Um, but yeah. So, Dr. John H. Rauch,
Huh.
yep, towards the end of that time period when the cemetery was um being filled. I don't really know a better way to say it. He began advocating that the city should no longer continue burying their dead within the city limits. Due to the sheer number of bodies in this cemetery and the diseases many of them died from, he and other medical professionals, yes, it was the 1850s, but they existed. They worried about the body's potential to contaminate Lake Michigan,
Oh,
which was Chicago's water supply. And the pipe that led into Lake Michigan to get water supply was pretty close to shore at the time.
okay.
The city later decided, shortly after this conversation about let's not bury any more people here, they decided to add the northern end of the city's cemetery to the new park, Lake Park, and that they would relocate the graves to, well, they would relocate the bodies to cemeteries outside of the city limits that would also be under like city cemetery purview. They would just be named some other shit.
Mhm.
The dividing line was North Avenue. South of that avenue, the land was to be used for residential development, and it was their responsibility to handle any bodies they encountered. And that area is now um part of the Gold Coast, if our
Mhm.
listeners are familiar with the neighborhoods of Chicago. Um,
The bougie part.
yes. During this rush to get the remains out, it's almost impossible to know if every single body was successfully removed and then later reinterred. It's impossible. It
Mhm.
was estimated at the time that 35,000 or more people total were buried in the cemetery sections of the park. And that did not include the land that was reserved for residential development. that is just in the area that the park would be.
Which, okay, yeah. Which
Yeah.
which part of the cemetery do we know? Like, is it the
Which
paupers part or like the Catholic part?
um it's just everything north of North Avenue. I do
Okay.
believe it that includes the Potter Cemetery.
Yeah.
It definitely included the Jewish cemetery.
Ugh. I mean, I assumed the Potters and the Jewish cemetery would be the
Oh,
first
of
ones
course.
to be.
I think I do mention this later. I have a lot of references to those records that that woman Pamela Banos
Mhm.
found that I believe uh, talks about like which specific areas
Okay.
were notably removed or ignored and are still there, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious.
Of the possible 35,000 people buried, a large group of relocated graves were those of approximately 4,000 Confederate prisoners of war who died at Camp Douglas in South Chicago.
Damn.
Most of them had died of various diseases while imprisoned or from the shitty, beat up conditions they were already in when they were taken from the battlefields to be imprisoned. Another significant portion of the city cemetery consisted of victims from the cholera epidemics of 1849 and 1854, which ultimately killed over 2,000 people just in those two. 200 cholera victims were buried in the city cemetery's Potter's Field during a 2-week period in July 1854. I found a Web Archive article from 1997. So this harkens back to what you literally just said, like the late 90s when everybody was like getting in on posting records to the internet. Um, this guy compiled data from the Chicago Annual Health Reports from 1849 to 1867 because dude just wanted to talk about cholera in Chicago. I mean, I understand.
Why not?
It's interesting. So this was what was determined. Severe outbreaks of cholera had been reported earlier than 1849, but accurate records were not available for this study. In 1849, the disease was believed to have been brought to the city on the emigrant boat John Drew. And on April 29th, and the disease raged through the city until late October. That year, 678 persons died, a rate of 2,897 per 100,000. 314 of that 678 died between July 25th and August 28th. This is the worst death rate for any cause since Chicago began keeping health statistics. So remember, this article is from 1997. So I'm sure
Yeah.
COVID had a
Yeah.
big. Although the germ theory of disease was still unknown, and boy, how do you was it unknown? Oh God, President Garfield, I'm looking at you, bro.
Go back to, and we talked a lot about that in season 1 as well.
Yeah. Chicago did undertake a number of sanitary improvements which markedly reduced cholera and other diseases. In the 1850s, a piped Lake Michigan water supply was introduced, cutting reliance upon unsanitary wells and buckets of water from the sewage-filled Chicago River. Sewers were
Gross.
constructed. I know. Can you imagine using water from the Chicago River, bro?
Ugh.
It's bad now.
What,
Anyway.
didn't, who was it? What band was it that
Mm.
like emptied their,
Oh, girl. Um, why am I like John Mellencamp? That's not it.
I wanna,
Uh,
It's not Coldplay, but I feel like it's someone like Coldplay. Dave Matthews Band. Is it Dave Matthews
Dave
Band?
Matthews Band.
Hmm. Not that Dave Matthews Band is like Coldplay, but
Yeah, the Dave Matthews Band bus incident on August 8th, 2004. They dumped an estimated 800 pounds of human waste through the Kinsey Street Bridge into the Chicago River.
didn't it like land on a tour boat or something?
Oh, yes. Chicago's little lady, apparently.
Oh my God. Not so little lady now.
Oh my God. While passing under the bridge, the boat received the full contents of the tank on the seats of its open roof terrace. Roughly 2/3 of the 120 passengers aboard the tour boat were soaked.
That's disgusting.
Wow.
So yeah, it's still pretty bad.
And the driver apparently denied doing it.
I'm sure he did.
Damn. What a dickhead. Okay.
Oh my God.
So sewers were constructed beginning in 1856 and greatly expanded after the cholera epidemic of 1866. In 1867, a remarkable drinking water tunnel 2 miles out into the lake was opened, reducing the amount of sewage from the river and the water supply. And then, after the 1870s, cholera ceased to be a significant source of mortality in the city. Isn't that crazy? Look at that. You just shove a big old pipe out into the lake
Yeah,
2 miles away.
I was just looking up when Jon Snow was figuring out the London cholera epidemic,
Yeah.
because that says he started his investigation in 1854.
Okay.
So I was
They're
just curious as
around-ish
to
the same
like,
time.
yeah, I was just curious as to whether like that information had made it to Chicago by that point, which I assume it had if they're like connecting that it's something to do with the water and all
Right.
that. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're maybe communicating just a little bit. Okay.
I'm sure they all read like the Royal Institute reports or whatever.
From oh, got it. Sorry. I like scrolled too much and I immediately lost my starting point. From 1855 through 1859, the city's population was growing, and the number of burials, as well as the number of family lots sold in the city cemetery, certainly reflected this. In 1858, Ira Couch, an early Chicago millionaire, was entombed in the Couch family vault, which still stands today in Lincoln Park. The city's cemetery's conditions seem to have been less than acceptable, as evidenced by the Common Council minutes and the many petitions made to make it less ugly. The
Less ugly.
1858, yeah, less uggo. It's really, everyone was like so diplomatic about it, but I'm gonna just say what it is. They wanted to make it less ugly and less like fucked up.
I was thinking that that was their words,
Oh.
whereas like today we would call it like a beautification project, but
No,
that
that's
is
pretty
probably
much
what they
what they
called
called
it.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're calling it less ugly.
Yeah, I'm being straightforward.
Okay.
The 1858 petition to beautify the cemetery is notable for having obtained the signature of 129 prominent Chicagoans. The first suggestion to convert the city's lakeside cemetery into a park was published in 1855 in the Chicago Daily Democrat. At the suggestion of a newspaper editorial, a petition circulated and was then presented to the Common Council. No changes took place as a result. The Chicago Daily Tribune articles amplified the concern for improving the conditions. These newspaper articles also call for an effort to move the cemetery grounds further from the lake. In 1857, there were offers by citizens to barter or otherwise exchange lands to move the cemetery from its overcrowded location, now within the city limits. According to, again, Dr. John H. Rauch, he reported that from January 1860 to March 1866, during the Civil War, 11,341 individuals were buried in the city cemetery. The graveyard, which had been under the jurisdiction of the Board of Public Works, was handed over to the new Lincoln Park Commissioners in 1869. Nice. The commissioners inherited the responsibility and costs for the ongoing disinterments in what was known as the Milliman Tract, which I believe is like in the middle bottom area.
Okay.
I had a picture of the map of like the different plots of land and shit, but I didn't put it in my notes because I'm a dumbass. They inherited the responsibility costs for the ongoing disinterments in the Milliman Tract, and later, after the 1871 Chicago fire, they oversaw the vacation of the older burial grounds near North Avenue. So that's like the most southern end.
Yeah.
Like where the Ben Franklin statue is when you're going to the zoo, or when you're like
Yeah.
walking there. For nearly 20 years, during evolving landscaping plans, bodies were being exhumed from the park grounds. On October 2nd, 1870, the Chicago Tribune released an update about the city's progress on reinterment. We print the report of the superintendent of the city cemetery on the subject of the removal of the bodies from the lots in that place.
Okay.
No removals have been made from one half of the lots sold by the city, and of the 25,000 bodies in the Potter's Field, not one has been removed. The cemetery has become anything but a proper place for such a purpose. It is rapidly falling into decay. Something ought to be done in the matter to remove the eyesore which the cemetery grounds now are. Harsh.
Yeah.
Published in the New York Times on June 5th, 1876, describing the city of Chicago, the newspaper also describes the cemetery in the park. This account shows that the last vestiges of the graveyard were still visible nearly 5 years after the Chicago fire.
Damn.
The present entrance to Lincoln Park is a little depressing, being through a cemetery, but those old settlers are fast being unsettled and reestablished elsewhere. Even the dead must, quote, move on, end quote, in Chicago. It were impossible for one to tell where in this vicinity he could take his last sleep. Chicago houses are all liable to be moved, even the house of worship and the house appointed for all living. Cemetery. I like that actually. A moving building has ceased to be a moving site here. And it
All
continues
living.
on
Okay.
talking about the shittier, the shitty, the ugly that I was
The
talking
ugly.
about. The entrance to it is curiously enough through an old cemetery, which was originally thought to be so far out in the suburbs that the necessities of the living would never disturb it. But the dead must give way before the progress of those left behind, and it is somewhat sad reflection in driving gaily by the few tombstones that are still left and the few graves not yet leveled, to think that the span of a single generation leaves most of us with so little, following there is no one to move our bones, nor transfer the slab that marks the last resting place. But even this suggestion does not seem to abate and scarcely arrests the pleasure which Lincoln Park, now 12 years old and rich with trees and flowers and grass plots and a hill and miniature caves and a lake and a serpentine river and I don't know this word. Umbragus drives? Umbragus? It's Umbrageous.
Shady.
Mm.
Or inclined to take offense. It can describe something that creates or provides shade, like a tree, or it can be, or it can describe someone who is easily offended or sensitive to criticism.
That's funny. I'm
Okay.
guessing one of those is more of like a colloquial thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it though. That's a fun word.
I want to make it colloquial for someone who is shady. Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it. Holy shit. Um, okay, Serpentine River and I still don't know how to pronounce it though. Umbragus drives and romantic walks and rustic bridges and a zoological garden and so forth affords the thousands of people who can reach it by the horse cars or a walk of from 15 minutes to half an hour. I should guess that about $500,000 have been expended on Lincoln Park, which has the natural advantage of a large frontage on the lakeshore.
I love how people used to write like this. Well, I should think that blah 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 blah. I'm like, should you? Is that what you do think?
Is that it?
Is that actually what you think? Or is that actually what was spent?
Yeah, I should guess that about $500,000. Yeah, okay. Where are you getting that from? Anyway. Okay, 10 years after the establishment of Lincoln Park, 4 years after the Chicago fire of 1871, and at a time when the disinterments were presumed to have been completed, there remained cemetery headstones in Lincoln Park, marking graves of individuals who had not been claimed for reinterment elsewhere. Wanting to complete the transition of the cemetery into the park grounds, the Lincoln Park commissioners moved the various scattered marked graves to a separate fenced location within the park. A few years later, that cemetery in the park, as it was named, was itself incorporated into the park grounds by removing the above ground evidence.
Oh, good. Just the
20
above ground.
years. Yeah. 20 years later, a park engineer discovered a map detailing the burials from that area. By that time, nobody seemed to remember this earlier park feature. And I have, I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different article thingies I would like to read. Sorry. Losing that. Huh. Stat. So, the Chicago Daily Tribune, August 14th, 1875. Sorry. The Lincoln Park commissioners have decided to buy an acre of land north of the old Jewish cemetery and transfer to it all the bodies in the graveyard, which lay within the present park limits. It is intended to carefully remove all the monuments and tombstones to the newly purchased ground, which will be newly enclosed and planted with shade trees. This is that fenced off area I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The Lincoln Park Commissioners' proceedings, August 17th, 1875. Motion resolved that the superintendent be instructed to lay out the necessary ground not more than 1 acre in extent to receive remains of all bodies over which there is found a stone, the location to be in the north or northeast of the Jewish cemetery and not nearer than 100 feet to the drive. So basically, the Lincoln Park Commission decided that they would only search for the bodies that had stone, like headstones.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, for those who could not afford a headstone made of actual stone, they were frequently made of wood, like wooden markers. There was a big ass fire
Squid.
in 1871, and many of those markers were lost.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
thousands and thousands of people.
I think wood is fireproof. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ah! Okay.
Fire can't go through wood, obviously.
Okay. Lincoln Park Commissioners Proceedings, January 23rd, 1883. So this is 8 years later, approximately, about 7.5. The superintendent was directed to receive all stones from the burial place near the Lakeshore Drive and to, there was a word written in cursive that I didn't understand, to heat the grounds and identify each lot by a stake. I'm almost certain that heat is not the correct word.
I'm like trying to picture what that would look like in cursive and then stop it?
Yeah. There is a podcast, by the way, Hidden Truths,
Oh,
about the Chicago City Cemetery.
I was like, okay. This podcast.
Yeah. Hell yeah. In the Chicago Record Herald, January 18th, 1903, now 20 years later, an old chart found in the workshop of the engineer at Lincoln Park yesterday shows that there are more than 100 bodies buried under, you're going to like this, the big breathing spot. I have actually no idea what that's referring to. I
I took
tried to find out what the fuck they're talking about.
took a
I
drink of
tried to
water at
go
the wrong
find
time.
I tried to find the actual like newspaper uh edition this was from, couldn't find it.
Big
It's a
breathing spot.
clipping from this newspaper edition about this whatever. It goes on to say it was known that there was an old burying ground on the site of the park, but it was never found out how many bodies were there. 1903. The cemeteries stopped being like officially used in 1859, but then continued to bury Civil War dead in the 1860s. That's only been like 40 years.
Yeah.
People don't know what's going on.
That's within living memory.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I know that a lot of official
Oh,
records were assumed to have been lost because of, the fire,
yeah.
but not everything.
But
Like,
there's
people don't
people over the
remember.
age of 50 alive who
Yeah.
could be like, yeah, there's a cemetery there.
Yeah. People that maybe worked to remove and relocate the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. The Chicago News published on the exact same day as the Chicago Record Herald, January 18th, 1903. Discovery of this fact, hitherto a subject largely of speculation, was made today when an old chart was found in the workshop of a park engineer. The bodies have never been removed since the time the site between Wisconsin Street and North Avenue east of North Clark Street was used as a city cemetery. Unmarked by a headstone, not mentioned in official records, and unknown to the thousands of persons who frequent the spot, 145 of the bodies lie clustered together at the north end of the baseball field.
Cool.
130 by 200 feet in dimensions. That's big
Yeah.
for 145 bodies. They really must have just been slammed there. Scattered throughout the southern part of the park, 6 other bodies, perhaps many more, lie beneath the lawns and tennis courts. So it seems like those areas weren't excavated. Probably like, oh, Jesus Christ. In a pigeonhole in the workshop where hundreds of maps, blueprints, and drafts are put away year after year, the old chart drawn in pencil was found. It had remained undisturbed for years, while the lapse of a quarter of a century obliterated the history of the remnants of the old cemetery, which still exists, where the romping feet of children tread, where picnic parties hold revelry, and where lovers keep their trysts.
Ooh.
Oh, goodness.
It's weird because they're describing it as being so weird that there's a cemetery where a
It
park
was
is.
used for like maybe 20 years total, and there were thousands and thousands of bodies buried there. How
But
do you just
like
forget that?
but the like
Crazy.
the juxtaposition of them being like, ew, there's but she's like pulling on my headphones. I had to wear Shannon's headphones because she was trying to eat the cord on mine. But the juxtaposition of them being like, ew, there are bodies in our park. Gross. But in Victorian times, cemeteries and parks were the same thing. Like you went to the cemetery to have your picnic.
Literally. That's
Milo.
like why a lot of them are that's why a lot of them are like called parks. Excuse me,
Yeah.
sir. Memorial Park.
So it's kind of funny that they're being so bitchy about it.
It's like they're to me, it's not really like bitchy, like, yeah. It's like people are shocked that it's a thing that like no
Yeah.
one knew, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in essence, no one officially knew anymore.
Yeah. I guess that's true.
It's very strange. Like,
Yeah. I guess the fire must have really just distracted everyone and burned all the wrong shit,
I mean, yeah,
which
it
I
burned
guess is
like
fair.
most of Chicago.
Yeah,
That makes
well,
sense.
for like the third time. Yeah.
Okay. So, what has become of the tombstones that did exist that were not sent with bodies? It's a total mystery. They have completely disappeared from the park. For years, granite slabs bearing inscriptions and Bible verses dated in the early days of Chicago's existence. Okay. These granite slabs were familiar sights to people who frequented the park, and as late as the 1890s, nearly a score of them were used in building a crude waterfall that served as an outlet to the South Artificial Pond near the Ulysses S. Grant Monument. They had been moved away from the new cemetery spot, which is opposite Menominee Street. Afterward, they were replaced by concrete. Some of the heavy stones appeared from time to time at points further north and finally found a resting place in the rear of the barn at Fullerton Avenue, where they were allowed to lean ignominiously against a high board fence until a new barn was built. Then the old stones disappeared. Yeah.
Well, based on what we have, I assume that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of museums and repositories that just have random tombstones and they don't know what
Yeah.
they are.
Or just random folk or whatever.
Yep.
I don't
They
know.
don't
People could break these things up and use them as
they don't know what they
scrapyard.
are. They don't
Yeah.
know where they came from. They just know this is an old headstone.
Yeah. Pretty much. I did look
This
on Pamela Bonos's website.
mhm.
She has this interesting theory and she has a bunch of pictures to help provide some evidence for her theory that they at least some of the headstones were used to create this like wall
Mhm.
near where the cemetery was. Like I think it might be in Lincoln Park.
So like the ones that were replaced though. Ow.
Yeah.
That's my ass.
Um and looking at the pictures she put up, it's like if you picture like a cobblestone wall,
Hmm.
it is exactly that, but every single shape is like if you were looking directly down at the top of a headstone. It's like that sort of like weirdly curved out shape and it's like flat on top and bottom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's almost like a really thick like stepping stone.
Yeah.
And every single stone looks that shape and it's all like sort of haphazardly put together. It's not mortared or anything. And she did take some pictures of pieces that had broken off that have like inscriptions written on them with like people's names and birth and death dates. But it's also you can't really prove that it's from the city cemetery or like a certain section of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, these could have come from anywhere.
And
But
these are
that's
the
just
ones
her
like
unfounded theory.
they took these headstones after removing those bodies, and then they got
Mhm.
new headstones, and they made this with the old headstones.
Mhm.
Why didn't they just reuse the headstones?
I think a lot of them were reused, but
Like ones that got broken in transit or something.
yeah. And after the chaos of the Civil War and the
Yeah.
Great Fire, I mean, people just did not know who was where anymore. Like everything was fucked up.
Yeah.
You
I
remember it?
guess
It's
that's
ugly.
fair. It's
It's ugly. It's
ugly.
really pretty now. Okay. Of the other bodies still in Lincoln Park, aside from those in the burying place mentioned, the location of 4 members of the Couch family is the only conspicuous one. Massive, gray and gloomy, the Couch vault stands like a grim sentinel a short distance from the Stockton Drive opposite Eugenie Street. Not far from it is the grave of David Kennison, a veteran of the Revolutionary War who, according to the records of the Chicago Historical Society, is buried 320 feet northwest of the Ira Couch Vault and 50 feet east of the east line of North Clark Street. Uh, this is still all from Chicago News, by the way. This whole
Hmm.
thing. An engineer with the last name Lindruth,
Okay.
Lindrooth, funny
Oh,
name.
two O's. Okay.
Yeah, not
That's
not
more fun.
Ruth. They said no record is kept of many of the graves. There are 2 metallic coffins, evidently, of a mother and child side by side at one place in the park. It would not do to tell where they are located because grave robbers might disturb the graves to steal the metal caskets. During the cholera epidemic, many persons, especially children, were buried in the cemetery, doubtless without a permit, and so when it came to reconstructing the site for a park, there was difficulty in designating the bodies after the task of removing them was officially begun in 1870. The old sexton of the cemetery, Schumacher was his name, and he died about 10 years ago, was indispensable in that work. It was made harder by the fact that in the Great Fire, a year later, all the records in the city hall were destroyed. So the city worked hard, it seems, and they were mostly successful in moving a lot of bodies to other locations, other city cemetery locations to be far away from the lake, so the lake wouldn't be poisoned by cholera or whatever the fuck.
Hmm.
But, Great Fire hit, everything, all hell broke loose. Who knows how many people still remain under the Lincoln Park property? The most recent information that I could find about like what the city of Chicago has found was in 1998. There were dozens and dozens of bodies found in an area that I think was supposed to be a parking lot for the
Oh,
zoo.
good.
And it's like, oh, oh, okay,
I mean,
great.
at the end of the day, I assume this is the case in all of America's major cities. Because one of the things I remember most about Philly is like all the parks have bodies in them.
Yeah, all of them. I mean, it, large cities, historic cities that have existed for,
Hmm. Yeah.
like Philadelphia, it has existed since the United States literally became a country.
Yeah.
There's going to be tons of dead people. Chicago's just really big, so,
Yeah.
and they've experienced a lot of fucked up shit. So,
Yeah. And I'm gonna do that ghost tour one day.
hmm
I
there are a
wanted
few, but most of them seem like, mm,
Yeah, there was like the main one that goes around like around the zoo and the
yeah.
park. And I actually wanted to do that. I was gonna try and get tickets for it when we were there last weekend. I guess that was 2 weeks ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't doing the tour that weekend,
Lame.
or at least they weren't doing the one I wanted to do that weekend. So we ended up doing Ghost Walk in Naperville instead. And that was really interesting because there was a really crazy train crash in Naperville, apparently,
I
where
believe it.
one train like stopped on the tracks because it like heard a sound like something had fallen off or something, and then another train and they were stopped like on the other side of a curve, and the other train was coming, didn't have time to like see them and react, so that train rammed. She showed us pictures of it. It was crazy. Rammed the first car like telescopically inside the car ahead of it.
Ooh.
And then the next car was just completely crushed. Or maybe vice versa. Like the first car was completely crushed and the second car was
Uh,
like shoved into the third car,
uh-huh.
which was the dining car, and it was lunchtime.
Huh.
So, yeah. And
That's
they
horrible.
didn't have enough people like enough emergency responders to deal with it. And so people were like volunteering to just come and pull body parts out of the wreckage. Um, and they lined them all up the street. And then school let out, and everyone was like, oh my God, the children! And so people were just like pulling body parts inside their houses.
Brother. You can't be doing that.
And so we got to walk in that area on the ghost walk. But yeah, I think all suburbs of Chicago are just kind of fucked up at this point.
Yeah, everything's haunted. It's pretty crazy. I mean, even Champaign-Urbana
Yeah.
haunted.
Yeah, I would love to write a ghost tour and then make Shannon lead it.
Mm,
I
mhm.
don't want to lead it, but I'll make him do it.
Of course not. Public speaking. Nah.
It's not even the public speaking. It's just, I mean, I've been a tour guide before. I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I want to do like the research and the writing and like the
Hmm.
design of it, and then I'll
Yeah,
just
that's
make him do
fun.
it. Do you want to talk about our ghost hunt that we're going on? Is this a good
Sure.
time for it, or is there a better time? I don't know.
I mean, this works. Georgia gifted me a a ghost hunt for my birthday, and it's like an overnight situation. Well, I say overnight. It's like late, late, like
Yes.
the fuck at night, like past my bedtime.
Yeah.
I believe it starts at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
and you
7 to
go
1.
until to 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they supposedly do not provide you with um equipment, but didn't you say that like it didn't say online whether they did or didn't?
It didn't say online anywhere that I read that it did or didn't, but
Yeah.
then when I got the confirmation email, it said they don't,
Oh,
which I think
so
is kind of
stupid.
shitty, but
I know.
that's fine. I mean, I needed an excuse to invest in ghost hunting equipment anyway, so.
So we'll be taking Georgia's EMF reader, and
Mhm.
Shannon is gonna get a spirit box for us to use because obviously we're going to use that and
Yeah.
use the Estes method as discussed on last season of our podcast. And from when we went to Colonial Williamsburg in Virginia, Daddy
That was
J.
just so much. I
So
like
fun. It was so
I'm just
cool. I was
obsessed with the
freaked out.
I'm just
I was
obsessed with
like,
the spirit box method.
um, I'll have to get us some like fun headlamps, maybe.
I have a headlamp somewhere.
No, but I want to get ones that are like themed.
Okay. So gay.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh yeah. Oh, and you have to check Seth's camcorder too if it has night vision.
Yes. Yes, I can do that right now when we break.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be like, so we get a tour from like the staff at the Peoria State Hospital, and then we are kind of like the the group is like left to kind of like
Yeah.
go back to those locations that were on the tour so you can do your own investigating. Um, so I think it'll be, I've done that kind of before at Pythian Castle, but that was also with like a guide from the company who
Hmm.
was like putting on the ghost hunt. So like you weren't really doing it on your own. So this will be like the first time that I'm doing it on my own.
I'm kind of excited because I don't have faith in other people.
Yeah, I
They trust
know.
us.
But like to use your skeptical brain and I don't know. Like
Yeah.
some people I just don't trust that Kate. I thought you were gonna go to sleep. So yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna have hopefully we're gonna find the conclusive piece of evidence.
I sure hope so. I feel like of anybody, it might as well be us.
Yeah. We need something to like bring us fortune in this world. Our jobs sure aren't doing it.
Oh God.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of spooky stuff in Illinois.
It sure is, which is not that surprising,
No.
but still like, oh,
I think if you like were looking, some places you go and it's obvious. Like when you go to New Orleans, there's ghost tours everywhere. I feel like Illinois is one of those places where like if you're not looking for it, you're not gonna find it, but if you are looking for it, you're gonna find a lot of it.
um, I just went to go look at Pamela's website to find information about that 1998 excavation thing. It
Hmm.
was actually for a parking facility for the Chicago Historical Society.
Mm.
And wouldn't you believe it, Don Cobb worked there.
Oh, of course she did.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
As did David Keene, who was a senior archaeologist at Archaeological Research Inc., which I've never worked for them, but I know people who have.
So I'm sure Sarah knows Penn.
Oh, undoubtedly. Yep.
Archaeology is everywhere when you look for it.
They found 89 people.
Jeez. Still a lot of people there.
And so she has audio files of her conversations with the people who worked at these on this
Hmm.
excavation. So she has a 28-minute long audio file of her conversation with Don Cobb.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Crazy. I really recommend her website. She's compiled quite a bit. I will link it in the episode's description
Yay.
so you can see for yourself. Otherwise, bye. See you next episode.
When we were watching all of the Universal Classics yesterday,
Yeah.
they just end.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no credits. Because there's opening
Well,
credits, right?
there are opening credits, but it's like a crazy scene just happened. Like Creature from the Black Lagoon, they scare the monster away, they break the boat free, and they're leaving the lagoon. The guys just died, and they like hug each other on the boat,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, cool, there's gonna be like a scene of them like leaving and being like, man, that was fucking crazy. No, no, it just says the end on the screen, and that's it.
I love that. The end.
Well, that concludes this week's broadcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you wish to stay in touch, reach out to us at broadcastfromthebelfry@gmail.com or stalk us on Instagram at Broadcast from the Belfry. Again, I hope you've enjoyed our little show. Please rate and review. And until next week, stay